I'm starting to get old, so I've got grays coming in, and it makes me feel ridiculous.
Welcome. Yeah.
Adam looks like Santa Claus over there.
I'm an old man.
And my clippers broke, and every Kroger, Walgreens, they're all out of clippers, bro, because everyone's buying hair clippers to cut their hair.
No clippers, no toilet paper. What are you going to do, man?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Open Mat Chat. This is episode 53. We have Chewy in, Jiu-Jitsu. Some people know him as Nick Albin. Nobody, right?
Nobody knows me as Nick Albin, except for the government.
The government, yeah. I'm glad you're giving us your time, man. I know you're a pretty busy dude, and I respect everything you do, man. We are big fans, first off, and we always love coming and mixing it up with you.
Yeah.
And we right before all this, we were looking forward. We were going to come to your birthday roll.
Yeah.
And then you decided to cancel that before everything was canceled.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I was super depressed about it. It was the most depressing birthday I've had in a long time. Because it's like I was excited about it because every year we get together and everybody comes and rolls. And I mean, dude, like sometimes those birthday rolls, like we had people last year from like several different states coming in and training. It was a blast. Okay. And then we get together and get some food afterwards. Good times. And this year it was just like, I started looking at it and I didn't know what was going on. And obviously maybe I could have overreacted, but I was just like, I didn't know what was going on at the time. And so I was like, I just want to like at least be ahead of the thing in case something is going on so that I don't endanger the people that are there and the students. And so I was just like, all right, like no birthday mat. And that sucks. So.
Yeah, it did suck because shortly after that, we find out that Jiu-Jitsu is about to be canceled, period.
Yeah, right?
Definitely.
Indefinitely. So I've been chatting with you, and some other owners, just we all kind of checking in on each other and stuff, seeing what's going on. And, I know we're kind of all excited about this June 1st. They're saying gyms can open up, which I understand it's going to be a lot of restrictions.
Sure.
Now, does that help you on your gym side, on your like the CrossFit side of you guys?
Well, I think that, again, having at least a date when we're going to say that something's starting to open, I think that's good for everyone, both, for the students and the instructors. Because even like us, like we're like, dude, when do we get to open? Like there's no definite time for any of this stuff. Yeah. And at least we have, okay, June 1st, we get to start the process off, right? You know what I mean? Because again, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle with this whole thing. Like I think it's a concern for sure. I don't maybe think that it's Armageddon and that everybody's going to just die in the streets or anything like that, but it's obviously a concern. And so I think that it's probably an intelligent thing to let's start this process off and see how it goes. But at least saying, hey, listen, gyms can open. There is a start. That's kind of reassuring because then it's like, okay, we can get this ball rolling and see how things go. And it's also interesting over the next, couple of weeks to a month, it'll be interesting to see how the states like Georgia and Tennessee and some of the other states that are a little bit ahead of Kentucky, it's going to be interesting to see how they do because, Florida is very relaxed, which again, I'm hoping that everything goes well. So this way it can be like, well, they're doing okay. Maybe we can kind of speed this thing up a little bit faster rather than, wait longer and longer. And so again, I think that at least for everybody else, it gives us hope. It gives us something to look forward to. And so for our students, we can then come to them and say, hey guys, we've got something to start with, where instead of before where, I would do messages to my students and be like, we're just waiting, and then for us as owners, at least it may not be what we want to be in place right now, but at least we have something to work with and that then we can do something to serve the members. Because for me, I don't know about you as a gym owner, dude, like I woke up every morning for the last decade, like getting up and being like, these are the people I'm serving. And then it's like waking up and it's like Groundhog Day and it's just more of the same every day. And then those people aren't in my life and it's weird. So, it's a start.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The same thing like what you're saying is you wake up, and you know what you're doing for the day. And that's me. I have my kids throughout the day, but we're in and out of the gym throughout the day. And I'm feeling like the first time what people feel, I guess, I feel sadness and stuff, but I'm not trying to compare myself to like someone that gets depressed or anything.
Right.
I'm not that person, but I feel this inside. This little ball of something in me. My wife's like, that's a little anxiety. It's okay. Like, you never had that. That's, people suffer with that. And I'm like, man, I do not like that feeling at all.
Yeah. You got to meditate, man. Like when this whole thing first started off, I'm not going to lie. At first, it kind of like caught me off guard, and my I started ruminating on over the thoughts. And I've dealt with anxiety in the past. I know exactly what you're talking about, And I had to just get back to like making sure I got my meditation in, because if I meditate, I'm fine. If I don't meditate, I get all like out of sorts, and my head gets all over the place. If I meditate, it kind of grounds me down and puts me on even keel, so I can think straight.
Yeah, so that's what I've been focusing on that since we have a lot of downtime, and I've tried it before, because Sandro,
yeah,
he's a big time meditator too, and so he's gave me a couple apps to do it with, and so I've been able to do it a lot more now than before, and I actually been able to actually meditate. Like, before I would try, and then I would like just my mind would race, and
that's normal.
Stop, like now I know like when the mind's racing, it's okay. Like just kind of deep breaths kind of brings me back to like a middle point, I guess. Yeah,
well, it's like jiu-jitsu, right? Like, in the beginning when you do jiu-jitsu, you absolutely suck at it. So, while you're trying to do jiu-jitsu, you're just kind of flopping around all over the place. But I mean, technically you're still doing it. And in the beginning when you meditate, it's just like sit still in one place for 10 minutes. Just do that. Can you sit still for 10 minutes and not do anything? It sounds like the easiest thing in the world, but then you close your eyes and you're like, did I set the alarm clock? Is the app still going? How long did I set this thing for? And all these things are going. And then, but again, you practice it and you do it more and more, and then then it becomes just like jiu-jitsu. You just get into the flow, and there's been times where I've done like an hour and like, oh shit, I completely lost where I was, and so it's just a practice like anything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to that level.
I'm trying to find the article that I read the other day. I can't quite find it. It said Florida and Georgia saw the biggest drops in new cases since opening 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that today too, but I wasn't sure if it was real or not.
Yeah.
I can't trust anything.
Yeah, it's hard to trust.
Yeah. Have you guys ever read I just finished this book. It's called Trust Me, I'm Lying. It's by a guy named Ryan Holiday. He's like into like, he's like does like Stoic philosophy stuff, but he's also like a marketer. And it's from like 2012, but it's a really like relevant book, because basically he worked for these different guys, and he was essentially a media manipulator at the time, where he would go in and tell like CNN or whomever a completely fake story. And then, they would publish it. They wouldn't even fact check anything. They wouldn't do anything. They would just publish it and go with it. And it's one of those things where, again, when you see articles, because it's always so weird, like you'll flip on your phone or something, and it'll have two articles side by side. It'll be like, meat causes cancer, and the other one's like meat prevents cancer. Like, well, how do they say the same thing? Or then right now it's like the biggest drop in coronavirus, and then the other one's like the biggest spike in corona. Like, you're like, oh shit, like which one's telling you the truth? And then you have to go dig, and you got to figure out like where they're coming from, because data can be manipulated and changed to fit a narrative that you want to push, right? And so it's always so crazy, because especially with the news now, because there's no subscription model, right? No one pays for their news pretty much anymore. So these companies, the only way they get money is through advertising. And so their job is not to like put out the best information anymore. It's like just to get it sensationalized stuff, get you to click, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it's so hard, man. Like to believe anything, I'm going off what everyone I'm around, and Ethan, he's been doing sneaky jiu-jitsu training. Telling on you, bro.
Sorry, man.
I haven't been doing jiu-jitsu every day.
And he's somewhat normal, so yeah, it's kind of it's scary though with owning a business, and I'm lucky that these guys, they've kept me afloat. They're paying me every month. I didn't have to worry about that, but I see some other local businesses, man, and it's so sad to see them going down, or they're not going to open back up, and I don't know where they were right before this,
Yeah. So here in Lexington, I saw I think 3 businesses close a day, just on Facebook, and no telling how many other businesses, like my hometown, where we only got 8,000 people.
Small town.
They're getting hit hard, and they're probably barely staying afloat before.
Yeah, I seen a gym, one of your Louisville, like a fitness gym, I guess.
Powerhouse. Yeah.
Powerhouse, yeah. So that was pretty popular with a lot of people from what I see on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it said that they're not going to reopen. So that's pretty sad.
Yeah, it sucks, man. And again, it's there's I don't believe that there's any right answer to what we're doing right now, because no one's been here before, and people are placed in really awkward times, because even like the governor, like as much as like I'll rag on him sometimes, like the dude's placed in a really awkward position where, even now, like he's starting to open and some people are saying it's too soon, he's not doing enough and stuff. And so if he opens up too quickly, people will scream at him and yell at him, and then if he doesn't do anything, then people like us will get pissed at him, right? So it's like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And even as a gym owner, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So again, you just got to kind of take a step back and do what you got to do. But it is sad to see these businesses close, because I don't think that people really think about that, like the economic, like people like will keep doing the narrative of, saving lives versus saving or for money. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, and I do believe there's a concern, and lives should always be important. But you should also think about like what happens when a huge chunk of the population, or then the country is unemployed, right? Like, what does that look like? That's not a good place to be. And your business, your job may not be affected by it now, but if you start getting into like 20, 25, 30% unemployment, like where jobs are not coming back, like you're going to be affected by it. You might lose your job. It's not going to be something that everybody, like people just somehow get out of it unscathed. So I just think that, in some ways, it's something to consider, man, because again, when all of a sudden everybody starts losing their jobs, that stuff works its way into everyone, and it's going to trickle into everybody's businesses, not just the small businesses, and so it's just a crazy time, man. And it's sad to see where businesses are having to close down, and people are losing their jobs. It's a shitty situation.
Yeah.
I read this morning it was 37 million unemployed.
Whew.
3 million just this week.
Yeah, and I mean, we're gonna all suffer and pay for that later on. It doesn't matter, These people, and there's plenty of people, that are sitting back making more money right now than they were, So that's easy for them to say, like, yeah, we should all stay home, and then people like us, our members are still, they're family, like jiu-jitsu is kind of, it's a big family, so they're supporting us,
Sure.
We've been closed for 2 months. Not a lot of businesses are like that. So yeah, it is scary, man. I think that, I think the way they should have done unemployment would have been like maybe give you 80% of your income, that way you still you're missing 20% and you want to get back to work as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, they did I don't know. I've never been on unemployment, but it was like 65% plus an extra 600 because of that the stimulus bill.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer to all that stuff is, man. Like, it's even like right now, like you can, I don't know if you still can, because I didn't have to worry about that, but like you could, sort of push back your mortgages and stuff like that, and people couldn't be evicted and stuff. It's like that. But like, what happens when like things go back to normal and you don't have a job, and then you can't push back your mortgage, or you can't do that kind of stuff? Right. It's like, there's gonna. I think that like again, if things start to speed up and we get back to normal in some capacity, we'll be okay. But if it gets prolonged, you're gonna see, a friggin' meltdown. It's not going to be something where it's like, some people lost their jobs, but we're back to going. It's like, you're going to see that. And then people are going to look back and be like, ooh, no. Like, I mean, it's not a fun place to be, and it's not a fun place to be for anyone. And it'll create some crazy problems. But again, time will tell, and we'll figure out what has to happen. And just like, any, jiu-jitsu practitioner, like we're warriors, right? So again, just like you go to a competition, you can't always decide who's going to be your opponent, right? So you just face what's in front of you, and it's the same thing. So once we figure out what's going on, and we do what we got to do, and we'll just keep working and keep doing what we can do, and just take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
What was the majority on your post the other day that if you were to open up right now, who would train?
It was split up between 3 groups. I looked through all of them. I couldn't possibly reply because like literally there was like hundreds and hundreds. I started trying and then I looked at the number. I was like, oh shit, there's like 500 posts. Yeah. And that was an hour after the damn thing was posted. So I don't know what it's up to now. But I think that there was 3 main groups, right? There were 3 groups that were like thumbs up. Absolutely. Right now I'll train. There were people that were like thumbs down. I'm not training. And then there were people that were in the middle where they were like, you know, I would train right now as long as everybody was being safe, or I would love to train and I respect those that want to train, but I'm not going to train because I'm just not ready for that yet. So there was kind of people that are in the middle, you know, which I respect all the viewpoints. The ones I deleted some of the posts because they were like sort of subgroups of the 2 far ends where, you know, there was like one side of it where again, people would try to say, you know, God, no, I wouldn't train right now because if you train right now, then, you know, you want to kill Granny. And then there was the other side where like, this is all a conspiracy theory of the Illuminati and their whatever stuff. So I'm like, all right, we're going to delete those posts because, you know, like being a couple shitbirds. But for the most part, it was like literally down the middle 50-50 between yes and no. I mean, it was just like, you know, everybody's just kind of there. And so it was interesting to see that, you know, and one thing I did like about the post was there were only out of like, almost 1,000 posts or whatever it was. There were only a handful of posts that weren't bad. Most of it was kind of like everybody was for the most part pretty respectful, which is good, you know, and that's what I wanted because I'm like, you know, I don't think it's just like when you like, for instance, in jiu-jitsu, when we get on the mat, a lot of times you bullshit with each other and you chat. And a lot of times you have conversations with people that maybe aren't necessarily the people you would like. If you were just to go about your life normally, you probably would have never met them. Right. And you get these different perspectives from people. And for me, that's a valuable thing. And so like, I just want to see what other people's perspectives are. I don't want to hear like everybody yelling at each other. I don't want to see people arguing and calling each other ignorant and stupid, whatever. I'm like, I just want to see what you think. Give me your opinion on something and just like sort of like, let's exchange ideas because I think there's a beautiful thing to doing that because that's really where you can like exchange ideas and get something valuable from it rather than just standing on one side and the other screaming at each other because no one's going to give or take any idea in that manner because as soon as you yell at someone, they draw the line. Like I'm over here. But when you can just chat with people and sort of exchange ideas, it's a beautiful thing. And I think that that's something that sometimes gets lost with the sort of the landscape now with social media and all this stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's very easy to like when you first posted it, I got to the first 100 comments. It was like 10 minutes. You posted it 10 minutes later, there was 100 comments. I went through those and it seemed pretty positive at that point. Mm-hmm. But then once it got up to like 500, 600, I was like, I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, most of these people seem to be pretty level-headed for what I'm reading so far.
Yeah.
But obviously there's going to be those shitheads that are either trolling or like being serious and just attacking you.
I noticed some people troll you on some of your posts.
Oh, I love trolls. Yeah, well, they're the best. I write emails about them. I wrote an email about one of my trolls this morning. Because I was talking about grip strength on one of my videos, and he sent a message up talking about whacking it in the tool shed, so that's a great troll post. I use that sucker, so yeah, I get trolls all the time. I love it, because again, I think, I don't know, maybe some people get bothered by the troll post, but when you do this stuff, it's like, you're like, you those people's like opinions or their messages are like null and void. They mean nothing, right? Like if someone comes to me and they have like a disagreement and they say, I don't agree with that viewpoint, whatever. If you bring something logical to the table where we can have a discussion, I dig it. Cool. But like, if you come at me and just like start like whatever, I'm like, your opinion to me means nothing, because it's like, if you can't formulate some logical expression of the thoughts that are in your head, right, then to me it's like, well, you're being like a giant child. Yes. Like, right, he's like if a kid was throwing a temper tantrum at you, you would not pay them attention, and you would just be like, well, I'll wait till you're done being like a temper tantrum throwing child. And so when people like have a troll comment when they're doing that, I'm like, this is like a big giant baby throwing a temper tantrum. Like I'm not going to listen to that idea. It's like they're just throwing a temper tantrum. It's like when they come to me with like a reasonable idea that's, you know, has some actual thoughtfulness to it, then we'll talk.
Right. Yeah. Some of your, I see some of the guys say stuff, and I'm just like, I wonder if Chewy even gives them attention. I guess you do
usually. Not usually. Usually, I like I said, usually the only thing I give him attention with is I just make fun of him in emails because I think it's funny. Like the people that are on the email list, I have an email thing that I do. I call it the troll of the month. And so like I'll pick out, like I'll screenshot it and I'll be like, all right, let's talk about this guy right here, and we'll have a troll of the month email. So I send one of those out every month.
Yeah, I just got on your email. I don't know how I missed that. However long you've been doing it, but I just got on it like 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay, cool.
Requested to be a member of that, and so I seen your emails on. You're helping some people out with their getting started on like YouTube and their social media. What made you want to do that?
Time. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
I saw the little swirly for a second.
I know.
You know, so I did a little thing where I posted up and was like, hey, I'll help people out a little bit with their social media stuff, their marketing stuff. And the reason I started doing it was just because I, like, again, you know, as a coach, I don't know about you guys, but like as a coach, the coolest thing is to be able to take something that I've learned, give it to someone else and see them use it, and then know you had an impact. Like, oh, he's doing it. Like if like I remember like seeing a guy do like the exact move that we worked on in class like that week, and you see him do it, you're like, yes, he hit it. Like I showed him that. Like that's the best feeling in the world. And so, you know, I've been doing this stuff for about a decade as far as the business stuff, and really hard and heavy in the social media related stuff for about 5 years of like really like deep in work. And I've picked up a lot of stuff. Like it's like there was a guy that I worked with. It just, again, he messaged me and we did a little like live or a one-on-one sort of thing together. And you know, when I was just talking, like he was like, slow down, man. Like he's having trouble following me because I forget I've been doing this stuff. It's like being a high level belt in jiu-jitsu, and you forget this guy's brand new and he doesn't know these things. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I know more than I think I do. Right. And so I figured, well, like I've got some free time. Why don't I like grab some people and see if anyone's interested, and I'll show some people how to do some things online as far as marketing and business and things like that. So, because I see people doing it, and there's I guess you'd say there's not necessarily a formula per se, but there kind of is. And there's some ways to tweak things out that have nothing to do with algorithms and everything about developing the way that you present your message. So I took a small group of people to be on a little coaching program, and it's fun. It's going well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. When you started all this, you know, I heard you say before, like you didn't think you would get that popular, that big, well known, you know, but now that you are, you know, like, do you embrace it more? Do you like it?
You know, I was talking to, I think about this stuff all the time because like one of the things where the way that I present information is I go down deep into the rabbit hole of who I am so that I can understand how I react to things, so I can understand how to maybe help other people out. And I was thinking about this when I was talking to one of my guys this morning, my videographer. And maybe I was like, maybe this is like something I was kind of meant to do, I guess, in some fashion, because maybe there was a seed, if you will, because as a kid, I'm kind of the same way I am as an adult. So like, for instance, when I teach classes, I love teaching classes. I love keeping the energy up. I love like helping guys out and really like just keeping the vibe really high. I love going teaching seminars and again, really getting everybody pumped up. We'll go get dinner afterwards. And I love like that whole thing. But then I want to be by myself. It's like this complete like back and forth. So like with the videos, I love doing that stuff. I love sharing the information, whatever. And then I go back into my little cave and like read books and lay in a hammock and stuff. And so I was always kind of a ham in some way. I remember when I was a kid, like I was the kid who could play by himself in his room by himself for like the whole day. But if for some reason my uncle, he used to do this, he had a video camera, and for family get-togethers, if he had the camera out, I was in front of it dancing and like being silly and stuff. I was always kind of a ham, right? So I had this ability to like go out and get attention, but at the same time, I would like retract back and be by myself. And so it's kind of the way I am now. But yeah, I didn't know it was going to blow up into this thing where I go to tournaments and people like come at me. I mean, like hundreds of people will come to me and like talk to me for a minute. But as far as embracing it, I love it. It's fun. It's cool because again, what I'm doing is not necessarily like, I don't know. It's like it's like an extension of what I do at the gym. At the gym, like a lot of the people that I've been training with over the years have like said, "Man, you've made this positive impact on me in this way," and that feels good, right? That makes me feel amazing. And then in that same fashion, like I've had people come up to me at tournaments and say things to me that like literally I didn't know how to respond to them because I was like taken aback by it. Like I remember there was one dude, like one of the first times where like it started hitting me was like in 2016. We were at the Charlotte tournament, and I remember like I'm sitting over there like putting some stuff away, and like one of the Meow brothers is right next to me. And then like I turn around and there's this line behind me of people that wanted to talk to me. And I wasn't used to this. I'm like, I thought they were going to him. I thought they were going to go to the Meow brother. And they're like, Chewy. I'm like, oh, you guys are here for me. Like it was very different. But but there was a lot of positive feedback from that, and that's only increased. And so again, I think it's a beautiful thing. Like you leave a positive ripple, right? So you can use your daily energy. We've all got so much energy in the day, only so much time. You can use that time, that energy that you have, and you can use it doing terrible things, promoting negativity, like calling people shitheads on the internet, or you can do something to impact people's lives in a positive way and leave a ripple, right? And I think that's such a better way because again, as we all know, like you guys have been in this stuff and you guys obviously are a little bit older. There were probably people that said things and did things to you that maybe were insignificant to them, but for you, it like changed your life in a positive direction. I had this with mentors. I had this with coaches and things like that. And it left such a lasting impression. And so I just wanted to kind of continue that sort of thing where you just leave a positive ripple so that, again, we all got to go someday. I would like it, whenever I kick the bucket, I'd like to know, man, I made an impact on some people along the way.
Yeah, because it's very true. Because a lot of of course, people follow you on Instagram. When you repost like the positive stuff, people send you like, "Hey, man, you changed my life on this part," or you just helped my technique here. Mm-hmm.
That Reddit post the other day.
Oh, the Reddit post was fantastic.
That was great.
Yeah.
It was so good because I was like reading it and I was like, I don't remember this happening. I don't remember picking up a baby. And then it was like, and then he breastfed it. I was like, oh, it was pretty good.
You're a hero.
For anybody that doesn't know what's going on, like, so basically on Reddit the other day, I'll just read it real quick because it's friggin' good. Like, I was like, this is a great post. Because we were all like laughing because like he had everybody going. So the guy says, Nick Albin is a real lifesaver. When I was younger, maybe junior high, I got roped into watching my 3-month-old niece while my sister got her hair done. So there I am sitting in the waiting area of a hair salon with my niece and who walks in, but Chew freaking jujitsu. I was nervous as F and just kept looking at him as he read a magazine and waited, but I didn't know what to say. Pretty soon though, my niece started crying and I'm trying to quieten her down. I didn't want her to bother Nick, but damn it, come back. There we go. Sorry, phone messed up. But pretty soon he gets up and walks over. He started running his hands through her hair and asking what was wrong. I replied that she was probably hungry or something. So Nick put down his magazine, picked up my niece and lifted up his shirt. He breastfed her right there in the middle of the hair salon. Joe got really nice about it. He's a hero, a true hero. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh shit,
man! And you do impact kids, though. Do you remember at my UGI?
Oh, I remember.
My son was running up to me and he's like, "Dad, there's a famous YouTuber here." He was so excited because kids love YouTube. Mm-hmm. And Jaden, they were all excited. And they were like, I'm like busy trying to make sure everything's going, and they're like dragging my arms, like, come here, famous YouTuber. And then I go over, and it was Chewy.
I know that guy.
And I was like, yeah, he's here. He's got guys competing. They're like, what? You know him? I was like, you've been to our gym before. Where have you guys been?
Oh, it's fun.
It was just funny, man. They were showing everybody your videos and stuff. I was like, buddy, everybody knows.
And you knew me before I was this internet guy, right? Like, I mean, so because you guys came down to the gym like a long time ago, so you knew me before then.
A long time ago, and we used to see it at the Egos back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, you gave me a compliment one time. I just heel hooked somebody at Ego.
I remember that. Yeah,
You came up to me and like, that was a nice heel hook.
it was. It
And
was a good one.
And I was like, I don't remember what I said, but I was like, I was a little starstruck too. I was like, oh man, this guy's starting, you were just putting up videos and stuff. And I guess it was a good heel hook. I don't know.
I wouldn't have said it if it wasn't.
It was a long time ago though. Yeah, man. I mean, you were a popular guy, and I didn't know, some people take it differently, and I think you take it so good, like you said, like positive, I see you like you help out guys like new to jiu-jitsu, like they feel lost, even you're never like, oh, come to my gym, this is how we do it, or hey, this is the best way, like you're just like, look, go to your coach, talk to him, go to your teammates, talk to them, like you're so positive in different ways. So from white belts, even like to me, I just got my black belt, and even me, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, that makes sense, mine more, I pay a lot of attention to like the injuries, coming off injuries, or staying motivated when you are hurt, and coming on and off the mats,
old man problems.
Yeah, and I've been through it, man, and so that helps me, and then I see a guy that's been training 3 months share a video of yours and just like talk like, oh my God, like this makes so much more sense, this helps me. So it's pretty cool that you affect everything in jiu-jitsu, from white belts to black belts. And then lately, like with the business side of stuff, because, I never did this to be a business guy. I didn't think I was going to make my whole living off this, and
right.
We're at the point where my wife, she's done teaching. This is her last year. And so everything is part of our business now. The business is our life. So
yeah, that's
scary.
Well, and that's the thing about it. Like, I never got into this stuff thinking about business, right? I did this because I love jiu-jitsu, and I remember like when I like took the leap in 2010, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just like, I want to teach jiu-jitsu to people, and I figured if I was teaching classes all the time, that everybody would just show up. Obviously, it didn't quite work that way, but I started to look at something in 2010. Our gym. A couple things happened that were kind of out of our control. One of them was the fact that like a bunch of one of the banks got bought out by another bank, and like a half of our cards went like were just no, like they just like were deactivated, and then we had to go recoup those. But at the time the gym wasn't doing great, and like it could have closed had things not improved. And that was kind of when I was like, I need to become more of a businessman. I need to understand this. I can't just be like, oh, I'm not a businessman, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I was like, it's a bullshit excuse, because the reality is that if the business does not survive, the gym that these people have grown accustomed to, the community that they've become a part of, no longer exists. So therefore, I have a duty to the people that are there to serve them, to make sure that the gym stays alive. Now, I think that there is a line that you have to waver if you're of my kind of mindset, right? Because there's some guys that go straight up like old school McDojo martial arts, where they look at their students as like just dollar signs, and they want to wring every last dollar out of them. There's other people, which is where I used to be. My business partner Joe would tell you this, where you're so far in the relationships and teaching side of it that you like feel bad even asking for $1 to teach someone, right? And so the business, like if it wasn't for my partner Joe, the business would have failed for sure. Because what we did is we kind of met each other in the middle, because we were on other ends of the spectrum originally, and then we kind of met in the middle, and then we kind of, I guess you'd say we sort of complement each other, because of the fact that he has certain aspects of the things that he does, and I have certain things that I do better, and we kind of meet each other. But that's when I started to kind of get really more into the marketing and the business and understanding how the things work, so I could create something good for people, and I could create a living, and I could also like make sure that I was serving people and doing it in the way that I wanted to do. And so again, I had to sort of arm myself with more information, and had to take that side of things more seriously.
Yeah, I understand that. Like 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, dude, people just handed me money, just paid me like that. I didn't know when anyone was due or nothing. Everything was. Luckily, I have a good group of people.
Sure.
They paid me. All our bills were paid. I was making money, but that's how it was. I just had, sometimes just, put it in my drawer. At the end of the day, next day I'll go to the bank, I have checks, cash. Some people be like, hey man, here's a big wad. I didn't pay the last 2 months, but here we go. So then I got, I was driving my tax guy nuts, and
Oh yeah.
Finally he gave me a good yelling, and I got one of those accounts. I use martial arts on rails now.
Yeah.
That collect your payment. You could do put your taxes to the side. So the last 2.5 years, I've been really organized, making it more of a business, and trying to grow, because I knew my wife was going to stop working. So I needed to make sure everything's running perfect. But you get also lost in this, because I didn't go to school for this either.
Sure.
It kind of happened. I've been training for a long time. My first tournament was in 2001 in the gi. But I've been around it for a long time. But like I said, no business, nothing. But you do get caught up, because you know how many emails I get from like marketers, like, let me show you how to make money in a business. Let me show you. Let me show you how this grows. And you start. I start listening to them sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, that sounds kind of good. But then I don't go down there, and I'll accidentally click on it to listen to it, and then I get emails and everything else, And my thing was like, when I saw that you actually do a paid coaching too, right?
Yeah, right now. So basically, I wanted to test the idea out, because, I wanted to test out the idea and see if anybody was interested, like, hey, like, would anybody like to? So I got a group, and yeah, it's a paid coaching program. And the thing is it's like this, like, for instance, I would happily, just out of fun. I'm doing it kind of out of fun. Later on, it might be something more, but I would take a couple clients on for free if I wanted to. But the problem is with free has no value. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just when you pay for something, like if I'm gonna spend my time, which I don't have much of it, right? If I'm going to give my free time away to help you out, I want you to take action on it, because I want to see you. Because the benefit is like I get more jollies out of seeing you succeed. Then I charge a nominal fee for this first group. And so I'm like, look, I'm giving this thing away practically. I just want to see you actually take action. And so the people are doing stuff and they're taking action on it. I'm seeing them actually put their pages up like they're supposed to, and they're getting everything, the foundation laid. So it's cool to see. And so, yeah, again, so it's just something I'm trying out. And we have a little paid coaching group right now, which it's cut off right now because I don't have any more time.
So now that, I saw that, and that's what I was always thinking. I was like, man, all these people, all these, I call them scammers, it's like you look up their page, they got no followers. They don't have a real business, and they're trying to jump on everyone else's business.
They're regurgitating like whatever they heard, but like these guys drive me nuts, because it's like you see them all over the internet, and you look them up, and they don't have a successful business. Their successful business is teaching you how to run a successful business. Yeah. I'm like, so you're a faker. Like, it's like a jiu-jitsu guy. It's like going to a jiu-jitsu coach and be like, hey man, so you can teach me jiu-jitsu? Yeah, I can teach you jiu-jitsu. Okay, cool. Where did you train at? Well, I never actually trained with the black belt, and I never competed, and I never actually got a belt. I've never actually trained at a gym, but I've watched some YouTube videos, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. It's like, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah. And so that's what was kind of like, when I saw that you're actually, you put a group together, as a coach, coaching, I thought that was cool, because I was like, man, see, that's something that I know is real. Like, I know this guy, Chewy's real. He's legit. All these other ones, it's like, man, who would pay these people money? But because, some of them have big names, you see Randy Couture jump in there and, use this, blah, blah, blah. This will grow your business, but when I saw you doing it, I was like, see, like, that's something I have people of upcoming businesses, jiu-jitsu schools, and they message me like, hey man, how do you do it? Like, what, blah, blah. And I was like, man, like, I'm the wrong person to ask. I was like, I am doing it now. I was like 10 years later, but, I tell you, get good insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to turn it into a program later on that people can they don't have to do the coaching part of it. I just kind of, because I'm so far away from the beginning, I don't know what the big questions people have are. So I'm like, well, let me go through this so I can sort of reconnect with people that are kind of in the early stages of it. And then afterwards, I'm just going to make a program for it to offer to people later on, so that this way they can kind of get started whenever they want to. just because, but I wanted to kind of see where people are first. Cause like I said, it's like being a black belt and never training with white belts, and you kind of forget what it's like to be brand new. Right. It's kind of the same thing. You got to kind of reconnect yourself with where people are, because everybody has a lot of questions. And after we've been doing it for about 2 weeks now. And it's funny because it's like, I'm reconnecting with where I was, like, oh, I remember having that same exact question. Oh, golly, and that kind of stuff. But it's cool to see it though.
Yeah. So yeah, once that gets going, I know to refer people your way, because people just see, I know you get that a lot, but people see that you have a business and you're doing good, and they ask so many questions, and I'm like, dude, I'm the wrong person, because I did everything wrong to get to where I'm at right now.
I mean, but that's how you learn, right? Like, you make some mistakes and then you kind of figure out how to do it at least a somewhat better way, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky when you're owning a business and that's your life, What did you do for work before you went full-time jiu-jitsu?
Well, I was doing some different stuff. So I was working originally one of my first jobs, was doing like tech support way back in the day. So like literally I'm talking to Granny and teaching her how to like get her email, which was like, God bless, and then I ended up getting like some promotions and stuff within that same company. And then I got off what we would have said, got off the phones, and was like more in like the sort of position off the phones and stuff, and was doing that kind of stuff. But then basically what happened is around 2009, one of the guys 2010, I just took the leap into the gym business stuff full time. You know what I mean? But it was related to like tech related stuff back then. So
it wasn't like, oh, I want to own my own business someday with anything.
No, the thing is I didn't have the confidence back then to do that kind of thing. I was like, I'm not a businessman. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just thought about training jiu-jitsu. I was like, I would love to be able to train jiu-jitsu for a living and be able to make a living doing it. That was like the craziest thing. And then as you kind of get into it, you could build up some confidence. But in the beginning, man, golly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I never got into it, by the way. Like, I think a lot of times I'll talk to people that are really new, and they'll say, man, like, I want to own my own gym one day. I've been training for a month. I want to own one of my own gym one day, and I want to do this. I'm like, just train for a while first. It's a different animal, a month or a year out than it is like 5, 6, 7 years in. And for me, I never went into jiu-jitsu thinking that I was the special guy to do these things. So some things fell into my lap, and I was able to just take the leap when they showed themselves, because I didn't get myself like really like squashed in debt. So I was able to when the opportunity showed itself, I didn't have to worry about it. I could just take the leap because I don't have a ton of debt that I got to pay. I can sleep on buddies' couches, and I can do that stuff. Like, when I first took the leap, it's funny how it happened. I was driving my car, and it was literally the most random thing. We had a seminar that weekend with Hanato, my old coach, and we went to a birthday party with one of our buddies at 4th Street. We had a good time. I'm driving home, and it's like 3 a.m, and all of a sudden I get this boom, this thought, and I pull over into a Walgreens parking lot, and I start making numbers, start using my calculator on my old flip phone, and basically was figuring out, how much money do I have to make every month just to live? And so I called up my buddy, who was the sole gym owner at the time, and I said, hey man, can you give me $1,000 a month? Like, can we make that happen? I was like, I don't know where the other money will come as far as to eat and as far as to like do anything else. But I was like, that'll pay for my bills, $1,000 a month. And so he said, okay, I think we can do it. And we shot for June. And so in June, I went full time, and I was making I make $1,000 a month. That's all I made. And, moved back home for a little bit and would sleep on an air mattress that deflated halfway through the night. So like by the about middle of the night, my shoulders would be rounded up, and I would be this little I would be like,
or you get dumped off to one side.
Exactly. And then it had the little button on the side, so then I'd press the button and I'd get back to normal, and I'd get sleep the rest of the night, and then some things sort of happened and opened up, and things worked out, and it worked out all right.
Worked out perfect.
Well, depends on what you think, what you define as perfect, but I think it happened the way is absolutely the way it was supposed to, right?
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah. So like, when did Joe get in the picture? Was he training?
So Joe is funny. So Joe was originally, he was like a traditional like gym, like traditional style gyms consultant guy. So him and a partner would go around and they would like help manage all these gyms. That's what he did. He managed gyms and did all the sales stuff and built the scripts and stuff. He was that guy, right? And then he came to our gym, and you know, we were doing okay at the time, and this is 2011. We were doing okay at the time, and the reality was that like there were no processes in place, because I didn't know hell anything about business at the time. I was still learning, and my friend who at the time, like, he didn't know much about it either. He was still learning, but Joe had kind of had some experience with how to deal with memberships, how to contact leads, all these things that like people don't understand when you get into it. And he looked at it like a gold mine. So he started talking and making a deal out and stuff like that. And then he eventually came on full time selling memberships and helping manage the gym. And then he turned into a weight training coach. And then from there, he me and him became the sole owners. And, again, we kind of worked together on that stuff. But again, he has a lot of those like, he has like the managerial stuff, like the bean counter stuff that I just don't understand and I don't like. He loves it. He'll build spreadsheets and all this stuff out. He gets all happy about it, and I think it's funny. For me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I want to go like talk and like philosophize on an idea, and I want to go train jiu-jitsu and things like that. And he'll do his weights and stuff like that. And he works on all of that kind of stuff, all those like those little things, those things that create the nuts and the bolts that make the machine run, that a lot of times, they go ignored in a jiu-jitsu gym or in a martial arts gym. And if they're not there, if they're not in place, you're missing out on a lot of stuff that you can do for your students and everything else.
It's pretty smart, man. Were you part of Louisville MMA?
For a time, yeah. So
was that with Jason?
Yeah, so I originally started off with my coach, Mike. That was at like the name that it eventually became was called Highlander Mixed Martial Arts, and it's funny how that happened because we were in the Highlands in Louisville, and so they were like Highlands like martial arts, and the announcer at this fight just said Highlander, and so it just kind of stuck, right? So Highlander martial arts, and then him and I actually kind of opened up a gym together, and then it didn't work out with me. So I bounced. And then in 2007, I went to Derby City, who at the time kind of had Louisville MMA there. Louisville MMA back in the day used to train at a community center on Douglas Boulevard, like in the bottom of a basketball court. And I remember going down there and training with some of those guys before, like they would just go down there, you beat the hell out of each other. And so Jason Y at the time was running it, and he had a bunch of decent fighters that were fighting, a bunch of tough dudes, and he was running his thing. And then we were there, and then him and Colin, my old coach, they kind of had a falling out. And so then I had probably, I think, 2 or 3 fights under Louisville MMA, and then it just became Derby City and that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, because I think I started following them with Ron Sparks, right?
Yeah,
he was fighting for them.
Yeah, Ron.
That was a big man.
He was a big fella. He was so funny, man. He'd be in the gym with him. It was funny. Like he like, you remember playing Punch Out? Right? Like, you remember playing Punch Out? So like, you would get the character, and then like if you hit them, they would all of a sudden they'd start flashing, and that means that they were kind of pissed off and they're gonna like go faster. Like Ron sometimes would be doing that. He'd like, hey baby, and he'd be in there like just kind of messing around with you. And I remember like there was one time I think I hit him in the gut and he got pissed at me. He started wailing on me. I was like, oh, I just got a ball up. This big giant man's coming after me. But he was a super nice dude. I liked Ron.
He was a big dude.
He was Bellator champ, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't a Bellator champ. I don't think he was the AFL, which was a regional organization. He was their champ. He fought in Bellator a couple times and he beat a couple of guys, but I don't think he wasn't the champ. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was pretty popular, famous fighter out of Kentucky for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big guy.
He had a great look to him, and he was big. He was muscular. He had a lot of cool tattoos, and he was really personable and nice. Like it was just kind of he was easy. He was an easy guy to market,
Yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely could have been like a WWE, WWF you know.
Yeah.
He looks like a Batista type of guy.
Yeah. He could be one of those types of dudes for sure.
He's a big boy. Yeah, so I moved here in 2007 of December. So 2008, I've been here since then.
Yeah, because I remember when you first moved down here, like I think the first time that we connected on social media, just adding each other was like on MySpace.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's how I knew. That's how Mike Yon is, right? Highlander.
Yeah.
He had when I first moved out here, he had invited me down to train.
Okay.
And I never made it out that way, but that's how I knew who that guy was. And then I was at the fight when you fought Chris Sizemore.
Yeah, 2005 or 2012, excuse me.
Yeah, I was at that fight. And I don't know. I think I seen you fight again, maybe before that in Indiana, maybe.
I fought at a casino in Indiana.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it.
RFL. It was they had it at the Horseshoe Casino.
The boat, right?
Yeah, so they had it as an outdoor event, and that was a fun show. That was a really cool show. It was outdoors. It was like June. It was warm. Yeah. It was a cool event.
I was just. I was in Vegas, so I was used to casinos. So when they said, "Oh, we're gonna go to the fights and then to a casino," I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like I got there and I was like, "Oh, this is their casino."
Yeah,
I was a little picky, I guess.
Yeah, well, man, I'm such a grandpa anyway. Like, most of the time after the fights, I'm like, I just want to I'm done. I want to go eat. I want to go eat some food and go to sleep. Although after the fights, a lot of times we used to get together and we would typically rent out a place for the members, and we'd have like a little after party type thing. And like I'm a lightweight, so 2 beers in, like I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple beers with you throughout the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we're definitely missing jiu-jitsu. I was gonna do Detroit IBJJF. It would have been my first IBJJF, and I was gonna do gi and no gi, and so we were pretty bummed about that because me and Saga we were putting in a lot of work throughout the day, trying to get me ready, mostly getting me back in shape.
How's your body feel right now with the rest?
Feels good. Lots of rest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I got a little tendonitis in the elbow, so I've been trying to massage that out and stuff. I was gonna hit up the jiu-jitsu therapist and have him on maybe next week and pick his brain a little bit about this. It once it warms up and I'm rolling, I feel good. But after a shower at the end of the night, I have to really massage it. It feels like it's burning inside. So
yeah, you could have some sort of imbalance in the muscles and stuff. That's pretty common with us. I had a really bad one in my elbow, where are we at? Picture. Okay, there we go. So on the inside, right in here.
Yeah, that's where mine's at.
Yeah, so I used to get that really bad, and what was happening was it was too much gripping, in pulling in, and so what was ended up happening is these muscles began to create an imbalance, and so I had to do a bunch of stuff going the opposite direction. I do these little finger exercises, and I would do some flexion in the other direction, and when I would change that up, and this way to kind of loosen that stuff up and shrink the muscles on the other side up, and once I did that, I didn't really run into that kind of problem anymore. So, which a lot of that stuff came from Eugene. So
that's good to know. That's what I was going to ask him because
the problem came from Eugene or the therapy came from Eugene?
What's that?
The problem came from Eugene or the therapy came from Eugene?
The therapy came from Eugene, yeah. Eugene's my dude, man. Because he came to the gym in 2010, and literally every year, at least once, I come up to him and he'll I'll say, man, something's messed up, and he'll give me some exercises to do, and I'll use them religiously, and they fix things. You know what I mean? And so I remember even before my fight, we were talking about Chris Sizemore. My knee was bugging the hell out of me, and I was really worried about it. And he came up to me and he messed with me a little bit. He came up to me and he's doing all his little tests and stuff. And he's doing this thing where he's he looks like he's really concerned. And he says, man, he goes, so, yeah, man, do you want me, you want to know what I think about what's going on with your knee? And I'm like, give it to me straight, man. Just tell me straight. And he's like, I think you're going to kick some ass this weekend. It's fine. I was like, whoo. He's like, you probably just bruised something. No big deal. So, okay. But yeah, he's good. He knows what he's doing, man. He's a friggin' he's a monster when it comes to understanding how the body's doing. my shoulder got tweaked. I don't know how I tweaked my damn shoulder, but it tweaked it. And just recently, I'm dealing with it now. And he gave me some exercises to do, man, and damn exercises are already like making it feel so much better. I'm like, friggin' like body wizard. It's the stuff though that like nobody wants to do because it's not fun or sexy. But it's like if you do it and you actually like stick to it, like it'll fucking change your life. Yeah. Like you can train more because you're not beat up all the time.
The older I get, I find that, you see me longer time stretching and warming up. These young guys are just like put on their gear and they jump right on live rolling, and I'm just like, no, I'm good, dude.
Yeah, it's the thing like that, man. And if the younger guys can look at the older guys and learn from that early, they'll have less problems later on, right? Because if they look at them and say like, oh man, they're always stretching or whatever, if I do that now, I'll probably be better off long term, right? Because it's the yin and yang of training, right? Like when you go train your butt off, you're doing damage to your body. There's no way around it. Like we're in a decaying structure. We're breaking down. It's going to happen whether we train or not. So we need to be smart about that, because again, like long term, if all you do is beat the hell out of your body and you're like for instance, like when I was younger, if I trained, the only thing like my sort of mindset is that my training was only like productive if I was exhausted afterwards. That was the only way that it meant something. As I've gotten older, I know that that's not true. Like there's sometimes where I'll go in and I'll get a good sweat doing 300 drills or something, right? I didn't get hurt I didn't really get exhausted. I walked out of there fine. But what will happen is the next day I come in to train and roll, those moves are going to be so much sharper. And so again, that kind of stuff, like that's been one of the things for me when I turned 30, around in that time frame. I started to really have to adjust my training because I spent 10 years in the trenches just beating the hell out of my body. Right. And I had to start to adjust my training. And what was interesting is that as I started to give myself more rest and undulate my training up and down, I started winning more competitions. I started doing better. My body hurt less. It was like, oh, all these things are good. And I'm getting older. This is kind of a neat thing. So,
that's where I'm at. This last 6 months, I found a good balance, I guess, and trying to take care of my body a little bit more, especially like just pre-stretching and stretching afterwards, and knowing my body a little bit more and paying a little bit more attention, and like these last couple months, I'm rolling at home with the wife and the kids. Like, I feel fine. I'm getting good sweats in, I'm moving good, and of course if I go roll with like Sandro and some of the guys, I'm sore the next day, but I feel good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy getting to know your body, especially like in the last 20 years. I used to do freestyle motocross too, so I used to fall out of the sky a lot, and I feel it. Like how it is when people are like, "Oh, you're feeling good today, huh? You're on the mats." It's, deep down you're like, "Yeah, certain things are feeling better than others." Right.
How about you? How about you, Ethan? How old are you now?
26.
26. How's your body feel?
Bad, dude.
Yeah.
I've been training since I was about 15, and like you said, just meathead shit, just balls to the wall all the time. And I really have noticed that rolling smarter. I do kind of just go straight into rolling, but like I'll do 2, 3, 4 rounds really easy. The white belt or a small blue belt, just get the motions in, get my guard passes in, get my sweeps in, some chokes, and then I'll move on to the purple belts, brown belts, rolling a little bit harder. And that really does help my body a little bit better. I'm not being sore, not having all these crazy injuries.
Yeah. It's like you look at other sports, like most sports have off seasons. Like they have training camps, spring camps leading up to stuff. Like, the thing about jiu-jitsu is we have none of that. We just train all the time. And so you have to take it upon yourself to be intelligent with it, because it's so easy, because it's so damn fun, Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to slow down when you're on a good run of training and you're getting ready for something. And that's why I was feeling good. I was like, man, I haven't competed in a couple of years, and I signed up, for IBJF. I paid for my card. Like, man, even little man has IBJF medals, So I got to step my game up. And I was excited to compete because I wanted to just keep competing. I wanted to try to do Master Worlds. I still do. Don't get me wrong. But my motivation was just like focused on competing, which was cool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then when all this shut down, I'm like, oh. So we've all, you know, Sandro has mats at his house. Jerry Van Zant, he lives like 10 houses down from me. He's got his houses matted out. So we've been finding ways to roll, you know, within ourselves. And
Chewy, have you been rolling at all?
Yeah, I got a couple rounds in a couple times with some guys that, you know, are kind of quarantined up. You know, they're at home and that's it. So with a couple of those guys, I got about 5 guys. We've gotten together a couple times and trained a little bit.
Okay. That's Ethan. He's a lot of the guys, they're home working from home. So they ain't going nowhere.
And there's just a couple of us. We'll meet up a couple times a week and roll. Just a small group of us. And I've noticed I feel a bit more appreciative after all this stuff has kind of been over. Like, because before it was, you know, I was competing every 6 weeks for the past 2-3 years. So it's always kill. But then now it's like, we don't know when competition is coming up. September, maybe, you know, our fight to wins to this weekend tonight and tomorrow, right now and tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like, other than that, tournaments, you don't know when they're coming back. So like, you're taking a step back, and the teammates you get to roll with, you're kind of, you see how lucky you are to have this, you know, 3, 4, 5 guys to roll with and to just help you with jiu-jitsu, with your life, with just getting better, you know?
Absolutely. You get to put things into perspective, you know, because we're friggin' lucky to be able to do what we do, you know, and it's something that, you know, I mean, and you can find gratitude every day, you know, like, I mean, if you wake up next to someone and like this morning, dude, like one of my buddies posted a picture of a friend of his that was he was a Medal of Honor recipient and he died. He just died of lung cancer. And, you know, I was like thinking like, man, like I just woke up next to someone I love and I'm alive. My heart's beating. I'm getting ready to go like do a leg workout. Life is good. Like it could be a lot worse. And like you said, it puts things into perspective when you get to train again and you're like, it doesn't matter about like going in for the kill at all. You're like, I just get to be here and this is worth it, you know? But even like being in that mindset in a different place is useful. Like one of the things, like if you're in that kill mindset, it's a good thing to do before a competition for sure. But there's some real valuable sort of magic that comes sometimes when your brain is relaxed and you're just like kind of just there. You know what I mean? And you just kind of let some things happen. There's a lot of cool stuff that comes. Like I figured out some really cool moves that I've like kept in my game during those periods of sort of like downtime where I'm not really at my best. I'm not thinking about being like ultra killer monster Chewy. I'm just here. Sometimes I find some really neat stuff that ends up sticking with me later on when I go back to that like sharpening phase that goes as I get ready for a competition.
That you posted I can't remember what you called it, but it was like a Toriando variant. You push on their knee and the opposite shoulder while pressing into them.
Yeah.
And pass. I'm not sure I don't remember what you called it. And I've actually really been implementing that into my game with the past couple months, where I don't have, you know, I'm not working on my bread and butter sweeps and passes because, you know, that's what works and that's what wins me competitions. So I'm able to open up, and that pass is awesome. It's fucking great, you know?
Yeah.
And the no stress has just allowed me to work on the minute details, where to pressure, how to pressure, when, where to grab the leg, where to push on the neck. It's been awesome.
Yeah, you can be a little bit more playful and make some mistakes with stuff because that's like, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like when you're getting ready for a competition, you got to go back to your A game. You got to go back to your best stuff and sharpen it. But when you're in those down times, it's like go in research and development, start testing stuff out and making some mistakes and finding some new stuff to bring into the game. So this way, when you start to ramp it back up, you can start sharpening those weapons back up and hopefully with some new ones to add into the mix.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with Ethan and a few other guys. Like, they've been drilling new stuff that they wouldn't be doing because they're so set on a tournament coming up or something. So it's good to see that.
Yeah,
all our guys are still working. I mean, almost everyone has mats at their house, and we have a lot of couples that train with us. You know, like Alex and Sandro. You know, they're killing each other at home. You know, Jerry and his girl, Ethan and his girl. You know, we have a lot. But I know we're taking up some of your time, man. I appreciate having you on. One thing, like you have like a highlight of your career, something that like in competition that just, you know, made you realize like I belong here. Like you've had some really good accomplishments, and you don't really. I know you don't brag about anything, but you never really push anything. And I heard you don't even really hang your own medals up. There, I heard you found a duffel bag full of medals. That you just that's where they're at.
Yeah. It's funny. My buddy Joe, like we found this bag of like, I had my PANS medal in there and the 80cc trial medal. It was just in a bag. And he was like, we should hang these up. I'm like, okay. You know, it's funny because, you know, everybody's got a different thing that they're chasing. Right. I remember when I won the Nogi Pans in like 2016 or whatever, I remember like getting it. And that year I'd been on a tear, just winning a bunch of tournaments and stuff like that. And I remember holding the medal and I was like, that's kind of cool. Like I've got a Pans medal in my hand. Right. And then it was just like, whatever. Like it was cool. Whatever, you know? You know, what I really enjoy most from competitions, it has little to do with like the actual medal that I get. The medals are cool. Don't get me wrong. When I'm there to win, and I want to get the damn gold medal. I want to get that gold medal. I want to stand on the top of the podium. Every competitor wants that, right? Yeah. But my thing is like, I've been having more fun just being like able to just not give a shit. Right. Is because, you know, when I was younger, I cared about it. Right. And then after that that was a sort of an inflection point where after that tournament in 2016, I just like, it was kind of coming to that point anyway. But at that point, there was like a clear shift and I was just like, whatever. So anytime I compete now, I'm like, I'm just going to go out there and go after the guy and let's see what happens. I don't give a shit how it goes. I just want to go after the dude, you know, and I want to try to put on a good show. I want it to be a good match. Like, you know, one of the things, it's funny, like in the gym, I don't roll like I roll in a competition. In the gym, I'm much nicer most of the time. In a competition, I'm very aggressive. I'm going for the submission. Like most of my matches don't make it out of the time. They don't make it to time limit. Sometimes they do, but a lot of them get their submissions. And that's because I go for it. Even like when I was at the 80cc trials, like I didn't play the points game. I played the points game one time, and the other like the other 5 matches, I was going for the kill. And every match except for the one with the Devante, it was finished in like the within the no points time, right? Even the one I lost, right? Because again, you just go for it, and you know, I think that happens when it's like not being needy, right? Like if you get needy for a result, it hinders you. It's like if you go on a date, you know, and this might be a crude analogy, but if you go on a date with a girl and you're like being needy because you want her to come back to your house or you want her to like be like whatever, it's like you're going to put off the vibes and be like, oh, get away from me. It'll be repulsive, right? Like, get away from me. This guy's needy, right? Whereas like it's the same thing with competitions. You see people that sometimes they want to win or whatever, and like they underperform what they could do when like you see them in the gym and they're freaking amazing, and they go to a competition and they freeze up. They don't show who they are. And I think a big part of that is this sort of neediness that comes over us, because I was like that for some degree. And again, over the years, like 2016 wasn't necessarily the only time, but over the years, I just learned to care less about it. And for me, once like I started winning these medals, again, I just realized that it's cool. I enjoy doing it. But what I get out of jiu-jitsu has shifted. When I was a younger guy, it was all about the medals, all about the wins, for sure. I was trying to prove something to myself. But as I've gotten older, it's more about the impact that I'm having on people around me, and that's something that I get more joy out of.
Yeah, that's pretty. And you do, like I said, man. It's cool. Like I don't know how many people can hit you up and you respond quick and chat. You know, and I've been chatting with you, you know, for years, but more the last couple months, just because we're both business owners. And we're all trying to get on the same state of mind of what's going on and how to do this and stuff. But I'm sure, you know, you're super popular, and like it or not, you're super popular, and ton of messages, ton of requests, and all this stuff, man. And I really do appreciate you jumping on our little podcast here, man.
It was a blast, man. It's good to talk to you guys.
We're trying, you know. I make all the money on the podcast. Ethan still just, you know, he don't make nothing yet.
Yeah, I sucked my bush, so
that's right.
But no, man, hopefully this is over soon and we come visit and cross train and get some open mats going. And I really, like I said, man, I appreciate you, Ethan Goss. You can find the Boss Goss on Instagram, Jiu-Jitsu on everything, even Reddit.
I'm on there.
But yeah, man, thanks again, man. Ethan, good night. Chewy, good night. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, brother.
Peace out.
Thanks for being on.
Later, guys.
Later, brother.
Bye, Ethan.